Chris Williamson did a fantastic episode with Dr. K from Healthy Gamer, but there's one thing in there that's just a really bad take, and we need to talk about it. For context, here is the part of the conversation I'm referring to.
There is a trend online at the moment that demonizes porn use, as if you're using porn, this makes you susceptible to a whole suite of problems that are going to occur even if you do have a healthy relationship with it. For the people who see their porn use as something which is worthy of shame, which is worthy of guilt, which is worthy of making them feel like less of a man, less of a appropriate partner, I can guarantee that you are somebody who does have a problem with porn use. Porn use is not good for you if that is the story that you tell yourself about your porn use. And it's so recursive and self-reinforcing. It's brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, it's interesting because when people sort of demonize porn use, I think I'm seeing this trend more and more where if I have a problem with something, our society is moving more and more towards that thing needs to go away, as opposed to I need to get better at handling it.
So is this just a really bad take and I'm here to correct these fools? Well, no, not really. First of all, I respect both of these men and the work they do, and I highly recommend you watch this entire conversation. It's full of gems. What they're saying here is not totally wrong, but one thing about it jumps out at me. You see, addicts love to be in denial. An addict will tell you, no, I'm not addicted. I don't have a problem with pornography. I could quit any time. And for addicts, this kind of denial and justifying their own use to themselves and making excuses is an important part of the addiction process. There's like the addict part of you that keeps telling you, no, it's fine. Don't even worry about it and so on. And an addict might hear Dr. K and Chris talk about this and they'll absolutely pounce on it. They'll feel vindicated. See, I told you it's not a real problem. It's all about your attitude to porn. As long as you believe that it does no harm, it does no harm. As long as I think positive thoughts about this, I can use porn as much as I want. A doctor confirmed it. An addict could use this kind of thing as a justification to make a bad situation worse. So for example, they might have a partner who's trying to help them, who's basically saying, hey, you've got a real problem with pornography. It's causing harm in our relationship. And the addict goes, no, look here, this is proof. It's your negative attitude. That's the problem, not my porn use. So let me break this down. As someone who works with porn addicts, here is what is true and what is false about the statement in the clip I shared. What's true is that if you feel lots of shame and guilt and you beat yourself up about your porn use and you convince yourself that you're unworthy of love and so on because you use porn, that makes the situation worse. Shame and guilt and negative emotions are actually one of the things that drives porn use. Porn is like a painkiller, something you use in order to distract yourself from these negative feelings. And they even mention this on this podcast episode as well. So if you make yourself feel bad for watching porn, if anything, that makes you want to watch porn even more. So clearly that's not helping. A big part of recovery is learning self-forgiveness and compassion and unwinding that tension and shame that you usually associate with your behavior, while still acknowledging that, yeah, this is not good for me and I have to change my behavior. Here's the part that's not true. So here's the part we have to clarify. Having a positive attitude towards your porn use does not necessarily make your porn use healthy. In fact, most porn users are in denial about the harms that it's causing them until they have their very own SHTF moment. They want to believe that it's not causing any harm until something goes terribly wrong and it forces them to confront reality. So that could be something like developing erectile dysfunction, not being able to have sex with your partner anymore, losing a relationship, getting into depression or anxiety, losing a job, things like that. And finally realizing, oh, it's because of my porn addiction, it's because of what I've been doing to my brain that this bad thing has happened in my life. I shared more about this SHTF moment and the early warning signs that porn use is becoming problematic in this video, so go check that out if you want to explore that more deeply. But the important takeaway is simply that being in denial of the harmful effects that porn has on your brain does not protect you from those harmful effects. On a neurological level, porn use affects the brain in similar ways to highly addictive drugs. That's actually also mentioned in this episode.
Pornography addiction is the closest to substance use because of its hard-hitting effect, right? So if you think about getting high, there's discrete chemicals that enter into your brain and activate certain receptors, whereas video games are a little bit more global, but pornography is really, especially that arousal stuff and stuff like that, is a very targeted way to activate your brain in a particular way.
So, like I said, this whole episode is great. The whole conversation, it goes far beyond just pornography, and it's a super interesting conversation full of practical tips. Highly recommend you check it out. I'll link to it in the description below this video. It's just this one thing I wanted to point out because I have seen firsthand how bad it can get with porn addiction. If you're struggling with porn addiction and you want help in overcoming it, check out the first link in the description.